Morning, evening, or night, everybody. I'm Jext, and in this video, we're going to be discussing Splatoon's most underutilized and under-talked about asset, SplatNet. Now, to start, I'll give a brief overview of the history of SplatNet, then I'll go into its features and its usage, then I'll jump into why it is underutilized, under-talked about, and how it can be improved. Now, first up, a small history. SplatNet was a website that was originally released in Japanese on August 5th, 2015, and later in English on October 5th, 2015 for Splatoon 1. It was a website in which players could view their stats from the game, such as weapon usage and weapon inkage. They could view if their friends were online. They could also check their ranks and a little bit more. The service was relatively popular, the most popular feature obviously being viewing your total lifetime inkage on several different weapons. The service was eventually discontinued on September 30th, 2017, just a few short months after the release of Splatoon 2, and it was subsequently succeeded by Splatoon 2's SplatNet 2. The first SplatNet was relatively unremarkable. It was essentially just a small little add-on website with a few basic features, nothing super ridiculous there. Now, if you've played Splatoon and you wanted to see how you did in a certain match, you get a results screen at the end of each match which displays information. Splatoon 2, it includes your splats and assists. If you're playing a turf war, it includes the amount of turf you've inked, and it also includes your teammates' respective stats. Splatoon 1 had no way to view any of these match results after the results screen had disappeared. SplatNet 1 did not have a feature like this at all. You couldn't view any of your match statistics on the SplatNet site at all. But Splatoon 2 and subsequently SplatNet 2 introduced a way to fix this. SplatNet 2 was announced in a Nintendo Direct on July 6, 2017, just 21 days prior to the launch of Splatoon 2. It was the first game to have mobile app support via the Nintendo Switch Online mobile application. It remained the only game supported for that app for a long while, eventually joined by Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 2 years later in 2019, and then Animal Crossing New Horizons 2 years later in 2021. SplatNet 2 itself has received no notable updates at all. In fact, it has received quite the opposite, with a notable feature being discontinued: the online lounge or voice chat support. This feature was discontinued for many reasons, mainly because of the lack of popularity, the lack of quality of the voice chat, and the fact that you needed an official headset or some sort of weird jerry-rigged setup to make it work, shown here. Now, the prevalence of the Discord app and its popularity amongst a lot of competitive and casual players of Splatoon, along with its much, much better voice chat features, also probably lent a hand in them discontinuing it, but there is no official confirmation that Discord had any impact on it. But honestly, if you have the choice between using this weird headset cord mess or just turning on your phone and going to Discord, it's pretty obvious which one most people are going to choose. Now, as of this video's release, no confirmation of a SplatNet 3 has been confirmed. It's generally believed it'll return in some form or take some sort of other form. It may just be implemented into the game itself instead of a mobile app add-on. Regardless, let's get into the features of SplatNet 2. SplatNet 2 offers a variety of features and fun things to interact with. We'll start on the home screen, which shows up when you click on Splatoon 2 in the Nintendo Switch Online app. The homepage starts by showing your current rank, your level, how many times you've reset your level, the total amount of ink you have turfed, your favorite stage, as well as the weapon you last use, its current turf ink stat, a small icon which denotes if you have any streaks going on for that weapon by playing Turf War. It also shows your current gear, followed by the current map and mode for regular, ranked, or league battles, then the Salmon Run shift schedule, then the gear recently added to the shop, then a small look at a small subset of your last 50 battles, then your total lifetime inkage, and finally a seemingly permanent ad for the Octo Expansion DLC to Splatoon 2. Now, you can view all of these features just generally on this page, and you can get to most of them just from the home page, but they also have respective tabs for them at the bottom, denoted by these 5 icons. First of which we will start with is the Stage Info tab, which is called CPod FM, which is a play on cephalopod and FM radio, which sort of denotes a broadcast of these map and mode rotations. Now, this tab displays the map and mode rotations for regular turf war, ranked, and league battles from the present rotation up to 12 hours in advance. Now, this information is more detailed than one can be viewed in-game, as you can only get the next few rotations via the in-game rotation schedule tab in the actual game's main menu. Now, by clicking on a stage, you can also view your win rates for each of the 4 ranked modes on that said map, as well as an overall win rate. There is a small pink star that will denote your highest win rate per mode on the map. Now, the overall map and mode tab is a great function. It allows a player to see and maybe plan what they want to play for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's gaining experience on a map and a mode, or increasing a certain X rank power, or just messing around on a favorite combo. Now, these map pools that the rotations themselves draw from are not random. They are pre-selected by the development team each month. However, that information is actually not displayed on SplatNet 2 at all. You have to visit the official Twitter or a website to see the map pools for the month. Now, you could try and cobble together what the monthly rotation for maps is going to be based on what you can see on the app, but that's just kind of a hassle. Next up is the Stats tab, which gives you a multitude of statistical information regarding your play. You can see lifetime inkage for both your Inkling and Octoling character, as well as how far you've gone in completing certain ink challenges. These challenges are based on world landmarks and locations, and the approximate area they encompass, and how much ink you have covered in accordance with those real-life locations and landmarks. After that is your weapon stats, which you can view the number of wins, the amount of turf you've inked, and possible streaks you have on the weapon, as well as sorting all of them by favorites, main, sub, special, turf inked, or wins. This gives you handy graphics and allows you to see what sub and special each weapon has, as well as your usage on all of them. Then after that is the stage statistics, where you can view the same win rate information from earlier for every map in the game, as well as sort them by their respective win rates. Following that is the X rank leaderboards, which is probably the most data dense of all the stat information you're allowed to access. It gives you the opportunity to view your current X rank and the number 1 rank and weapon in each of the 4 modes, as well as the top player with the weapon that you are currently using. This tab also allows the player to search through nearly 5 years of X rank leaderboards for each month in each mode. This is pretty great for checking records and progression over time. And thanks to wonderful community member Sendou, a lot of this information has been archived. And even if SplatNet 2 is discontinued, this information won't be lost. Shout out to Sendou. Now, similar to the X-Rank leaderboards, following that is the Splatfest leaderboards. This tab allows the player to look at every single Splatfest, what team they chose, when those Splatfests took place, and the top 100 players of both team based on their power levels. It also includes what those top 5 players on each team used as their hat, their shirt, and their shoes. Included is also the percentages of wins in normal and challenge mode, as well as votes that each team received. This is cool, as well as it also allows for people to look back on the Splatfests, see who was really good at certain points in the game. It also is great for keeping track of records, progression, and archiving as well. Now, following the Splatfest results section is the League Battle statistics, where you can review your highest league powers for quad and twin matches, as well as the number of medals you have achieved in both. Now, you receive a gold medal for placing in the top 5%, silver for in the top 20%, and bronze in the top 50% of all players who played that rotation, respectively. You can also view every single league rotation top 100 going all the way back to the launch of the game. So every single quad and twin league rotation has 100 results for 5 years. That is a ton of information at our disposal, and it was actually kind of fun to look at this app for this video, because looking all the way back at the first quad rotation in Japan, I think it's around 6 to 8 a.m. on July 27th, you could see the first quad power highest score was 1900, which is kind of insane as compared to nowadays. It regularly gets to 25, 26, and sometimes 2700. Anyway, these results show you the players, their power, and a team ID that you can use to locate certain teams in these records. You can also click on a player to view their stats with the weapons they used, and a team will be displayed if they complete and select the amount of placement matches, and if they use the same players throughout all of those placement matches. This means that if a team completes all their placement matches and then swaps in a player for another player, they could be displayed twice, 3 times, even 4 times on a leaderboard if they completed enough placement matches with different people. You can also view the respective region that you want to see results for. So if you want to take a screenshot of your really, really high score and you know exactly when it was played, you can find that, select the region, and be like, hey man, I was the best twin player in North America in these 2 hours. Now, the last main statistical section in the Stats tab is for the single-player Octo Canyon. This section displays your best times by default for every single stage in the single-player campaign. You can sort this by different hero weapons and view your total completion percentage for the single-player campaign as well. A small gold star will denote that a weapon has been used to beat each level in the campaign. This section really is only good for speedrunners and just casual enjoyment and looking back at the single-player campaign. Now, the bottom of the stats section does show another piece of information, which is the current amount of disconnects you have during a play session. This really isn't that useful unless you're estimating how long you're going to get banned if you disconnect again. Anyway, the next main tab is the Battles tab. This displays all of your stats for the past 50 battles you've played, regardless of map, mode, or type of battle. Win-loss total is shown at the top, with a splats, assists, and specials average also shown. You can select any match you want, which gives you even more detailed info. This displays an incredibly detailed results screen, allowing the player to view all 8 players in the lobby, including their splats, their assists, their deaths, their specials, their turf inked, and their rank, including top 500 status, as denoted by the orange crown icon. Clicking on a weapon icon itself allows you to view the associated stats that a player has with that weapon, while clicking on the player's name allows you to view their gear, including every single slot, what piece of gear it is, and an option to report players for a variety of reasons. Now, just below the score total for the match on this screen is the X rank you have after the match, your personal splat, assist, death, and special numbers, and then below that is what kind of lobby it is, 8-person Rainmaker, for example. Then it will show the power level of that lobby, exactly what date and time that lobby took place, what stage it was on, and how long the match lasted. Obviously, all turf wars are going to be 3 minutes long, but ranked matches can be anywhere from 30 seconds to, I think, up to about 7.5, maybe 8 minutes if you go full overtime. Now, you can also view your own gear at the bottom of each match screen. The battle screen splits your matches into what type they were: regular turf, ranked, league, or private. Now, this tab will delete your battles after 3 months of inactivity, but if you keep track of it, it can be a pretty great way to gain insight on personal improvement, game trends, bad teammates, highlighting your really good games, hiding your really bad ones, reporting players, and the list pretty much goes on there. Now, you can jump to whatever your latest match is, regardless of what match you're reviewing as well, with this button right here. Now, the last main tab on SplatNet 2 is the Salmon Run tab. This tab starts with showing your current rank in Salmon Run, how many waves you clear on average in your last 50 jobs, and also allows you to view the shift schedule. The player card on the top right shows how many points you currently have, the golden and power eggs you have collected, the amount of crew members you have revived, and the total amount of points that you have accrued in your lifetime. It also shows an obtainable piece of exclusive gear from Salmon Run on the left here. You can also view how many jobs you've played on a certain rotation, as well as stats about each job in that rotation. This tab shows each batch of jobs and some totals like Grisco points, golden and power eggs, how many of each you have collected, as well as the total for that job, and how many members you have revived. Each job, like the battle screen, can be clicked on to view more detailed statistics, and that starts with what the hazard level of the job was and what map it was on. Then it displays the weapons in the pool of that job, followed by your personal golden and power egg totals, a job score calculation, and then the amount of points you have earned. Then it goes to the date and time that this job took place, followed by the 3 waves, their respective bounties, whether they were met, and how many golden eggs actually appeared during those waves, along with the specials used during each respective wave. After that, you see each player's individual stats, including the weapons and special they received in order, then their respective golden and power egg totals, their total deaths, their boss kills, and crewmate revives. Following that is a very neat boss display, which shows the number of each boss that actually appeared and how many the player personally killed. I do not know, however, why certain enemies are highlighted in yellow. It does not denote that you've been killed by them. I haven't found a consistent answer anywhere, so if you do know that, please let me know. Now, the final tab of this app, which is kind of hidden, is the gear shop, which is accessed by this icon on the home screen. Now, this shop allows the player to order one piece of gear at a time and view the gear, its common ability, and its price. The shop is also rotation-based. It uploads a new piece of gear every 2 hours and also goes up to about 12 hours in advance. The shop does make sure that fresh gear is cycled constantly. Now, I think that's every single feature of the SplatNet 2 app. It seems pretty beefy, right? Kind of. Now, after the novelty of using this app wears off, the only real usage that people get out of it is checking stats, stage rotations, and ordering gear, and the odd reporting a player when you need to. Now, the stats are great because they can be used to measure your own improvement or brag to your friends, but Splatoon 2 only measures and gives you a handful of them. Nowhere on the app is any statistic denoting your contribution to the objective in ranked or map usage. Advanced stats would be perfect for this app, as they would allow the main game to remain relatively simple and uncluttered, but give the option to more serious players to view more detailed information. We already know the game tracks a ton of stats that it doesn't show except via Callie and Marie and Octo Canyon, so why doesn't the app show those? The app's function could just be implemented into the main game, however. It is annoying to pull out your phone just to check how many kills you got. The main game doesn't show the results screen that the app does. It doesn't show you how many deaths you have while the app does. Just implement those two together and you really have no need for this function on the app. Basically, what I'm getting at is that the app should have enough exclusive functions that it seems worth it to use. As of right now, it's just kind of a middling excuse for mobile support so Nintendo can say they have games with mobile application tie-ins. It really doesn't serve that much of a purpose. It's lazy, redundant, and has exclusive features for not any really good reason. So let's get to fixing it. As I hinted at earlier, there's kind of only two options here. The first being just incorporate its functions into the main game. The second being to beef up the app so it's actually worth it to have it in the first place. Now, the first option would be relatively easy to implement. There's already a rotation page display in the main game, and there's already weapon page displays as well. So just Add in another page display where you can view the multiplayer lobby and battle stats in the main game, and give an option to also report any player. Give the player some Switch wallpapers or something instead of phone wallpapers for the ink challenges. Add in an ability to order certain gear from merch instead of having to go to the app, and that's pretty much gear from the framework that's in place is actually pretty good. I would say just give the player more stats, more customization, more reason to use it. Now, first up is to give the player more information. Show the monthly map rotations in the app. Show the win rates on all modes regardless of the map. Show win rates for weapons, not just win totals. Show the total splats you have with a weapon. Show the total splats you have with a sub or a special. Show literally all the weapon information that's already in the game. Show each weapon's range values, damage values, shot speed values, shot accuracy. Show umbrella durability. Show mobility. Show the points for each weapon's special, etc. Show update information. Show all of the stats that Callie and Marie can give you. All of that stuff. Put that on the app. Also, allow gear calculation. This might sound a little convoluted, but just go with me on this. Let's say I want to know how much sub-saver it's going to take to use 2 splat bombs. I could boot up the game, put all my sub-saver on, throw 2 bombs, and then subsequently take 1 sub away until I get to that benchmark. That would be really, really annoying, and it would take a long time. Imagine if there was something in the app where you could just plug in values. It would be much easier to do that sort of testing on the app itself. If your sub takes away, let's say, 60% of your ink tank, and each sub-saver main or sub has a value that tells you how much it saves, eventually you could get to the point where you could see, oh, this much sub-saver saves, 21% of the sub, so now I can throw 2. These calculations are actually already in the game. Of course they are. They're just hidden. So making them available with a decent user interface really shouldn't be that hard. Also, allow the player to customize their gear and weapon loadouts on the app. This function does exist in the game, it's just locked behind Amiibo, and that's kind of a useless paywall, so put it on the app and make it available to everybody. Also, the rotation displays for the regular game modes in Salmon Run shifts are perfectly fine. They're actually probably the most well-implemented feature. All you would have to add, like I said earlier, is the map pools that they come from. Now, the Battle tab does need more information. Comprehensive statistics inclusion, like I mentioned earlier, and maybe even a play-by-play feature, which could show each objective push in a match. Oh, so they grabbed the Rainmaker at 4 minutes and 1 second, and they died 30 seconds later, but they pushed it 20 points. That would give kind of a cool wrap-up to each match, as well as what each player contributed to the objective. This would make it much easier to actually view your improvement and see if your teammates actually did something, and be able to give people much more data to, craft storylines, use for free agent postings, etc. Imagine if you could literally show people that you have a really good dunk rate on Rainmaker, or that you ride the tower for 100 seconds on average per match. Tangible, objective statistics would only be a benefit to the player base. Viewing gear and player weapon stats is fine, but include more stats with it. Imagine if you could click on a player and you see their actual rank, what type of win streak they're on, what their win rate is currently, what they do for objective, etc. If I can see that I'm playing with 3 2000 XP players, then I probably wouldn't be as pissed if I lost, than if I had 3,000 XP teammates. Being able to give the player more information to discern why they win or lose just helps everybody in the long run. Also, give the player some more challenges or achievements. Don't just focus on the ink turfed. What about achievements for wins or splats or objective play? And also giving the player more than just a random phone wallpaper would be kind of nice. You could give customizable themes for the app itself. You could give, wallpapers for the Switch itself or Switch themes. That would be sick. As I mentioned in my must-haves for Splatoon 3 video, an achievement system would be a boon, and it would fit perfectly within the app itself, along with any sort of cosmetic or, completion collectible. Also, give more customization in the app. Allow us to choose a favorite map and customization in the app. A favorite weapon, favorite gear. Imagine you click on a player and you can view all of their stats. You also know what their favorite weapon is, their favorite map is, their favorite mode, their X rank, their current power, win streak, their gear, and their best statistic, their objective statistics, etc. It would help to personalize everyone you play with instead of just being some gear icons on the screen. Also, give the player the option to order more gear. One item at a time is incredibly lame. Allow the player to order whatever they want, whenever they want. And maybe, if we're going to beef this app up, implement gear editing itself on the map so that you can edit your gear on the fly and spend less time fiddling around with merch. Gear editing itself is kind of already technically existed. It was known as Splathax in Splatoon 1. It was a hack, but it had a pretty great user interface and it was relatively easy to use. So take something like that, or at least an iteration of it, and slap that onto the app and you're good to go. Another thing to add is more information and statistics. I've already mentioned this and I could name 1,000 things that could be measured in this game. But the reason that these statistics and measurements are important is because people will naturally compare them to other people. So you will get people trying to get higher scores, better stats, faster times, which means more people play the game. There's more diverse gameplay, which results in a healthier scene and a better game environment overall. Also, please implement more than just times for the single-player campaign stats. Show me how many enemies I killed out of the total available in a stage. Show me how many power eggs I collected in a single-player stage. How many shots I fired. How many times I went into squid mode. How many times I jumped. How many meters I traveled in a level. Stats like that would just be kind of cool and make the game more fun. It would also make challenges for somebody like GameChamp 3000 much more easy, but... Now, the app itself is decent, and there's some cool stuff on it. I mean, look at this. This is probably something that I don't think a lot of people have seen, which is the credit section on the app, which shows the people who worked on it and what I presume is their favorite weapon. This is actually a pretty neat feature and something small and cool. Overall, SplatNet 2 just doesn't do enough to justify its existence. Either consolidate it into the main game or beef it up so it can stand on its own as something that sets Splatoon apart rather than drags it down. SplatNet 2 and the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app in general have extreme amounts of potential, just like Splatoon has an extreme amount of potential. A blend of a really good mobile app that adds a bunch of exclusive features along with a main game could really create a unique gaming experience unlike anything out there right now. All it really needs is some love, some dedication, and some polish. Let me know if you have any thoughts on SplatNet or SplatNet 2, what they need, or if I missed anything in this video. Please obliterate that like button and demolish subscribe. And follow me on Twitter @Jext4 for more shenanigans and video updates. As always, I'm Jext. Have a good one.